Helen Naylor 140812.
Lovely, thank you, Helen. That is just showing us across here a wee bit. There we go. Lovely. So we are just looking at your prep process and production. So getting ready. So you've been researching different roles in theatre other than that of performer. So recently you did your director's piece, and then just before that you did your Saudi piece as well, which was a collaboration. So other group members on that. Do you want to just tell me about how you found being director?
I really enjoyed being director because it was a chance for me to show my skills and to show what I think of a piece and how I can produce it onto a stage. And I was really lucky in a sense because I got good at because we did it all at the same time. There was there was a limited amount of actors and people that we could use, and I was really lucky in a sense because
It's fine, you're still there.
I was really lucky because I got good actors who listened well, and it wasn't just me as well. I like to get ideas from other people because I think that's the best way to get anywhere in life is to kind of collaborate with other people, because you're not just going to get your ideas may not necessarily be the best or the most suitable for a situation or anything like that. So to be able to combine bits and pieces from my work and then other ideas from other people and then be able to produce it onto a stage is quite exhilarating.
Alright, good. I'm glad you liked the experience. Who did you, because you obviously researched some directors before you did that piece as well, who were you influenced by?
For my piece?
Yeah, for your director's
For my director's piece, I kind of stayed. I originally was going to go with Our Toad.
Oh, right.
Because, you know, theatre of cruelty, and the script that I was doing was 4.48 psychosis, and the script itself, the language that is used is quite, not vile, but quite violent in a sense. But when I did start to put my ideas together and stuff like that, it didn't work to the way I wanted it to work. And eventually I ended up going back to basics. So I went back to Grotowski and Stanislavski and kind of started to look at their ideas and started to combine them and stuff like that. I think it was mostly Grotowski and Stanislavski I started looking at, and then that kind of developed into my own ideas and stuff like that. So yeah, those were my directors and practitioners.
How did you prepare your actors for the roles that they were going to play in terms of like workshops or?
First of all, I got my actors to read through the script, and we kind of like discussed it at length about the actual script itself, not about characters or anything like that. And I had a clear idea of how I wanted, because before we even started thinking about casting it, I'd been looking at the script for a long time. And a friend of mine at the time was doing a project. She's also does performing arts, and she was doing another project that would involve puppetry and dolls and stuff like that. And it was just by chance that this idea, seeing her do that, it kind of snapped together the idea that I had. So when we've gone through the script and we discussed everything, I asked them to kind of go and do research on it. I'm sorry, I keep messing with that. I asked them to go and look at, like, you know, dolls that you had when you were children, and like the dolls that you get, you know, because there's a fear, and I can't remember what the fear was, it's in my work, a fear of dolls, and start looking at things and whether they were scared of dolls, and like go and talk to people about the experience you had with dolls when they were children. Like, I remember saying to my nana, and we were talking about this, and she said to me, I've always hated those pop dolls because I've always been scared that they might come to life or something like that. And that kind of all those ideas and all those thoughts and all those memories that came together and just did the whole performance, which helped them because they had experiences by real people. They looked into like these spheres and stuff like that, and they had their own experiences to draw from. So It kind of just all came together from that.
Okay, so you sent them off and asked them to do their own research
Yeah,
and things like that, which is nice. Good.
We did like some work. I didn't really need to do any like proper workshops with them. I think the one I did do was mainly with Gabby because she was playing the doll and I wanted her to know how her body was being used throughout. So I started looking at like the 7 levels of tension, like Jack Cock, and I wanted her to be completely aware of her body and like how it changes throughout each scene and how at one moment it's so fluid and then one moment it's just, and then the next moment in the scene it's so stiff, and being able to make her body aware of how to do that, and that was kind of the main thing that came.
Okay,
so you doing workshops.
So you did some physical theatre?
Yeah, a lot of physical theatre.
Good, that's good. It's really good. In terms of your role as director, if I could ask you to identify a strength and also an area perhaps for future development, what would you?
A strength. Well, I think that my biggest strength was I think I've got good communication skills with my actors because I don't want to. I did love directing and I'd like to do it in the future for another show or something like that. And I'd like to be able to let my actors know that it's not just me who's giving ideas. I like to hear other people's ideas and how they're going to do things, because you, again, like I said before, it's not always your idea that's going to be the best. You've got to take what you can get and make it work. And I love hearing other people's ideas because there's so much more to draw from. So I think my communication and my listening to other people, I think that's pretty strong. And developing, I guess, I think the organisation needs to be, I don't know, because I had compared, because I've done directing before, we did it the year before with Blasted, and that was a horrible, I did not like doing that at all. It was just not a nice experience. That particular experience wasn't nice, even though I liked the script and all that. It just didn't work out by any chance. But this time round, because I was more prepared for doing this than I was for doing Blasted.
So in a sense, you've already sort of
learned from my experiences from Blasted and then brought in. I had a really, I don't think, honestly, I really don't know if I could criticise myself, which sounds really big-headed, because I've learned from my experiences from Blasted and what not to do, what to do, and used it in this particular piece, and I think that's all I could do, really.
What about in terms of like being given maybe a budget and lights and things like that?
To add to 4.48?
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to do the experience again,
what would I change?
What in an ideal situation?
In an ideal situation, I'd want it on a proper stage, really. In an ideal situation, rather than the stage when we were given, but you work with what you're given. But I really wouldn't change that much, because originally, not a lot of it, there was a scene in the play that it did happen, but I had a prompt, and I think somebody had forgotten to put it on stage. No, it was on stage, but it was just because I think Gabby or somebody forgot to pick it up, but it ended up looking better without the prompt.
Oh, right, okay. So
that was a benefit, really.
A lucky fluke.
Yeah, somebody forgot to pick it up, and it looked better. So I wouldn't really change that much. And the lighting was like perfect, even though I didn't really use any. I think the most light I did use was literally little lights like this, but 2 of them off and 1 on.
Yeah.
And
that's fine.
I wouldn't change anything really about it.
Okay. It's good.
It was
a really good piece, actually. It was really nice. Just moving on quickly then, I just want to talk about your role other than performer for the Saudi piece that you did. Now, you performed that twice. You performed it first, and then you were given feedback by myself and by peers, and then you changed that round and made it something else. Leaving the performance to one side, because we know about that, in terms of the roles issued within your small group, how did you arrive at those roles?
For the original piece.
Yeah.
The original piece that we did of Saudi, we did. We used a kind of technique, and it was like we got given objects and stuff like that, and we were able to put our objects together and create something that I can't think of the name of this technique. But it was. I can't describe it. We had objects and we brought them all together, and it ended up. We all eventually came to the same conclusion from just looking and observing these objects and what we kind of like take from them, what we individually take from them. Yeah. And it ended up coming to we ended up all kind of coming to this same conclusion of witches. That was kind of the thing that we all came together and stuff. So, and that was when a member of the group, she went away and started working on a script. Mm-hmm. And we ended up having a meeting about it. She turned around to me and the other member of the group and said, I've done a script, we don't have to do it, but could we like read it and see what you guys think and stuff like that. So we did read it, and eventually we all came to the conclusion to do it.
Okay.
But I think because of the way it worked like that, it kind of didn't come off as fair especially for me. I didn't think it was like a fair way of working and stuff like that.
Because you felt that somebody just taking
taking control. But it wasn't like in a nasty sort of way. No. It was just I think it just naturally happened, and then it kind of came to a point where I was like, well, I don't really like it, to be honest. It just didn't.
Do you feel that having that script sort of limited the potential?
It did limit the potential because that person has a right to. She had written it for a certain way. Yeah. She didn't really want us messing with it, and I can understand that from a writer's point of view, because if I'd written scripts and people started like saying, okay, this is out, and I could look at that and think, well, why are you cutting that out? That's really important. Okay. I can understand that, but at the same time, it didn't give much leeway for us to be creative and stuff like that.
So the other two, so yourself and then the other member of the team, what were your roles? So we've already established there was a main or an initial script writer.
Yeah, there was an initial script writer.
So what was your role?
My role was kind of choreographer and technical work and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what did you do? What was
we had fight scenes in this particular piece, and they wanted me to choreograph it. But the thing that was difficult about that, I'm a dancer and stuff, which is why obviously I got given this role. But I've never done like stage fighting or anything, stage combat, or stage fighting or anything like that. So I did find that difficult, because in a really funny way, when it came to the fighting, I just wanted to turn or something like that, because that's naturally what I would do. And I don't think they got that, if you get what I mean, because they thought she can choreograph stuff. They didn't think, oh well, she's a dancer, she's not a stage combat.
So that was quite a difficult.
Yeah, and it came to a point where I was like, I'd suggest things and people would be like, no, and I didn't feel like I was doing anything. And then warm-ups, like to begin with, were difficult because I'm so used to doing quite jumpy sort of stretching warm-ups. Nobody wanted to do it, so it kind of made me feel like, well, what's the point of asking me to do something if you're not going to do it anyway? That was difficult.
Okay. So next time round, how would you approach that differently?
I don't know, because like the warm-ups that I was trying to do with them weren't necessarily all dancey or anything like that. They were genuinely just to get your bodies warmed up, and I feel like if they kind of listened to me a little bit more, it wouldn't have been like, oh, she's just dancing sort of thing.
Do you think it might have been improved if you had sat down right at the very beginning of the process and said, right, you do this, you do this, you do this, and we spend so many weeks in each?
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it would have been better if I'd taken more control of what I was supposed to do, because at the time I was kind of like so down and not wanting to do it. I just didn't feel like I was a part of the group. I didn't feel comfortable doing anything in that group at the time. I guess that kind of just affected the way we worked, because we were all feeling like that at the time. We were all so stressed out from doing other work, and this was on top of it, and then we weren't getting angry with each other, but we were all getting frustrated with what was going on, I think.
I think maybe because you were working in a totally different way. You worked with stimuli at the beginning.
Stimuli, that's the word.
Yeah. So you worked with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Much the same way as Timetrials before starting attainment. We spoke about that, didn't we? But that's good. It's important to have these experiences and work off them and think, what can I do differently?
Well, that was the best thing about the second time doing it round, because we actually went from ideas rather than just one block, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. So you opened up the scope
it just opened
being
up.
creative.
It opened up the doors, and it was so much more fairer in the way that our whole structure as a group worked.
Good.
And we enjoyed it a lot more. We weren't completely trapped by just one script, and it was just so much more fun to do it the way that we did it the second time round, because we thought there's no point in kind of doing something completely different and new. So we took the script and what we've done on stage, and we thought, okay, how can we relate back to this script? So we decided to do the Worcester group and stuff like that, and use technical stuff too. So we took the video of our show that we did originally and showed pieces and bits and pieces, and I did a video in that particular show as well, and we added them all into a massive video at the beginning. So anybody who hadn't seen the show we originally did could kind of follow the story to where we were going to continue from, and it was just so much more fun, and the fact that it was free to take and we all talked a lot more, and we weren't falling out with each other, nobody was frustrated. It was just so much better way of working. Yeah. And that second time round I felt more comfortable to go up on stage and do something, whereas the first time round I cried before the performance because I didn't want to do it. Because I didn't feel that
confident.
Yeah, I didn't feel that confident doing it.
All right, so you've learned through the experience.
Yeah, definitely learned from the experience.
Good, that's the main thing. All right, thank you very much.